everyone is doing okay. This is one of the Soapbox After Dark episodes. Um, in fact, I hope everyone has had an awesome day. This day hasn't necessarily been bad, a little bit long. I was with my wife all day at the hospital. She was getting tests done. So far, so good. We're just waiting for results. I don't think anything major is wrong. Just one of those things where you just have to, as being a person, the things you have to attend to. So the episodes are going to be this later in the evening, meaning scaling into the night. So I'm going to be here for a while. Hopefully you guys can hang out with me while I am here. The thing I want to talk about today is Beto, and I want to talk about the fundraising numbers. But specifically, I want to talk about an awesome woman who confronted Beto at one of the campaign stops when Beto went to a school. And he looks so odd flapping about the stage. Just in the odd gyrations that he takes on when he's giving his information and presenting. His hands are flailing about. He's moving all over the place. It's so bizarre. And I know people talk with their hands, but this is, you'll see what I mean. It's weird. The second point is she brings home this thing of bundlers. Like going into this thing of how you got your money and why aren't you showing the fundraising totals? Essentially, where are the totals? When are we going to get the opportunity to see this discrete totals so we can see how much each person donated to you? I mean, we know, I think Beto ended up with 200-some thousand donors. But we need to see what those numbers are to get a feel for how many, what's not just the average donation, but what were the increments of those donations. Let's say it that way. And so she's kind of making this point, like, we need to see that because that gives us this idea of grassroots support. Is it real or is it astroturf? And what were the industries? Who were giving you that money? We know you were in conversation with Obama bundlers. Why are you hiding it? And does that hiding it have something to do with it? Now, she didn't ask those questions. I asked those questions. When the media recounts the amount of money that Beto has accumulated, they do every so often bring up this idea of the number of people who are associated with it, that the money in and of itself is not enough. That is new, by the way. That is something that the left has been pushing, and that is something that is essentially broke through from the standpoint of mainstream media. Beforehand, the amount of money in and of itself was enough to get you in the running. You don't believe me? Where the hell did Beto come from? Beto is here purely because he's a vessel that can raise tons of money in a model that Bernie Sanders kind of crafted. I said Bernie Sanders were going to make Democrats better liars. There you go. Beto, white Obama. They've essentially appropriated what they needed to in order to create somewhat of a fake, a white Obama. But that said, the left needs to take somewhat of a pat on the back on the fact that that broke through. In this case, she confronts him directly about it. Look at his answers. And there are two questions that she puts to him. When are we going to be able to see your fundraising numbers? Because bundlers are, a way of kind of getting a person a bunch of money in a very short period of time. And two, policies. You're running a policy-free, platitude-laden campaign. When is anyone going to get some notion of what you're even running for? Like, why are you here? Outside of the fact that you can raise a ton of cash, and you're somewhat of a blank slate that anybody can pin anything on. Why are you here? When are we going to get your policies? Let's take a look at Beto's answer to this. The media never asks. Before I go to that, just one last point. The media never asks the question of why are you hiding your numbers? Like, shouldn't that just be a basic fundamental question? Why are you hiding your numbers? Isn't it odd? I mean, after all, you see Sanders, you see Elizabeth Warren, all of these other people release their numbers. Why are you hiding yours? The fact that this is somewhat different should be the thing that kind of draws interest. It's like, why are you, why is that of distinction that you need to do something that's different than the other people in the campaign? There may be nothing associated with it that's problematic at all. But the question, at the very least, should be relevant. The question should be extraordinarily relevant. And the secondary point, I know lefties have been making up ideas on what they think is going on from the standpoint of Beto. We have no idea. I would say wait to figure out what it is. There's this hypothesis that Beto loaned himself the money back to the campaign. That's, there's no way that that's been proven at all. In fact, it's more along the lines probably not true. But nevertheless, let's look at this young woman. Spot on. Love her to death. Don't even know who she is. But I would buy her a cup of coffee from Starbucks. If I had dollars.
Gracias. ¿Qué tal, Beto?
Mucho gusto. Es un placer estar aquí con ustedes. Gracias.
Gracias.
By the way, he's not Hispanic. I know they call him Beto. He's not Hispanic. And people may look at Beto and say, oh, he's Hispanic. And yeah, he probably plays into this thing of, Beto, Hispanic. And if nobody necessarily knows him per se, they may actually think that he has Hispanic heritage. He is not. He is living on that Beto thing and leaning into it. He's from a state, I think he's from Texas. A lot of Hispanics in Texas. And you can imagine that it is somewhat of an advantage if somebody is looking at somebody on the ballot, they see Beto, and they think, yeah, I like that guy. I don't even have to know him. The name Beto sounds as if it's Hispanic. Yes, I'm slightly bitter. Let's keep going.
So my question has to deal with campaign finance. You recently pulled in $6.1 million, if I occur. Come on, give him a round of applause for that. It's not bad. You broke all records.
I love how she's like, it's not bad. It's not bad. God, that's she doesn't like Beto. It's very clear she doesn't like him, and that's this kind of passive aggressive. Yeah, give him a hand. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm about to stick a knife in him. So yeah, give him all the applause now. Give him all the applause now. Let's let her do her thing. I love this. This is awesome. And play this back a little bit. All right, let's restart.
Pulled in $6.1 million, if I occur. Come on, give him a round of applause for that. It's not bad. You broke all records, which I guess is pretty good. But my concern is how much of that is coming from a process which is called bundling. For those of you who don't know, bundling is a process in which political activists and people in the private sector and lobbyists go to wealthy multimillionaires and billionaires and basically tell them to give the maximum, which is normally anywhere from $2,700 to $5,600, and basically use it to sort of overinflate a campaigner's, their first day totals. For example, just 1,000 people giving the maximum $5,600, that's $5.6 million right off the bat. Your campaign has not released the number of individual donors you have, nor has it released the average donation. Now, I'm not accusing you of that, but the fact that your campaign is currently working with notorious mega bundler Louis Sussman gives me a bit of a clue. In addition, when we look on your website, we don't really see anything in terms of a solid platform for policies. It's mostly just platitudes and a merch store. So I guess two-pronged question. One, are you going to...
Please allow her to ask the question.
Yeah, so two-pronged...
God, that's awesome! I love the stones with her. God, her cojones are awesome. She said, I went on your site, when are we going to get a policy from you? The only thing I've seen on your website is platitudes and a merch store. Fucking awesome. I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm going to somebody's political rally and say the exact same thing. I don't even care if it's true. It's awesome. Let's let her finish.
Your campaign has not released the number of individual donors you have, nor has it released the average donation. Now, I'm not accusing you of that, but the fact that your campaign is currently working with notorious mega bundler Louis Sussman gives me a bit of a clue. In addition, When we look on your website, we don't really see anything in terms of a solid platform for policies. It's mostly just platitudes and a merch store. So I guess two-pronged question. One, are you going to...
Please allow her to ask the question.
Yeah.
It took a moment for that to take effect. Did you notice that? It took a moment for that to kind of settle through the crowd, like, oh, holy shit, she's attacking him. they didn't get the fact that she was attacking him from the very start of it with the passive-aggressive, give him a hand, give him a hand, give him a hand, yeah, give him a hand. Oh, well, God, that's awesome. I love it. It took like a moment for it to ripple through everybody's consciousness of, wait a minute, did she just attack Beto? I think she just attacked Beto. She's at a merch store. Some laughed, some scoffed. Good on Beto for letting her finish. Let's let her keep going.
So two-pronged question, I guess. One, are you going to release the number of individual donors and their average donor donation? Because I know your campaign has that data. If it didn't, it would mean you'd be running a very incompetent campaign, and I don't think you are. You seem like you...
Through compassion.
I know your campaign has that data. If it didn't, it would mean you'd be running a very incompetent campaign, and I don't think you are. You seem like you have your stuff together mostly. And two, when are we going to get an actual policy from you instead of just like platitudes and nice stories?
Thank you. So the answer to your... Thanks, everybody. So the answer to your first question is yes. In addition to how much we raised, the fact that we raised it from all 50 states, the fact that we took not a dime from a single PAC or lobbyist, we will release the average and the number of donors. To your second question,
when?
To your second question about policy, I'm going to try to be as specific as I can. I mentioned our criminal justice system. I've called for the end of the prohibition on marijuana and the expungement of the arrest records of everyone who's been arrested for marijuana. I've been doing that for a long time. On the question of healthcare.
I don't know, do they get points if all of the other candidates are doing the exact same thing? Meaning, if it's even terrain, is that really policy? If every Democrat, meaning if every Democrat that would take office, at least based on what they're saying, would go for a similar agenda, then what is making you distinctive? It's almost as if you told us nothing at all, just because everyone, for the most part, is going almost like a baseline that these guys are going by, almost like a default. But let's let him give his specific default.
You talked about universal guaranteed high-quality healthcare. You asked the path to get there. Two extraordinary women with whom I've served in Congress, Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut, have introduced a proposal called Medicare for America.
Shady Beto. Shady Beto. Medicare for America. So this is what members of the Democratic Party have come up with, and members of, I would imagine, the healthcare industry have come up with as a way of stopping the momentum of Medicare for all. And to some degree, confuse the issue. The only reason you carry Medicare for whatever the hell they called it is because you want to somehow confuse people that this is somehow akin to Medicare for all. It is not. It is not. Shady Beto. Once again, being shady. I told you, if he started off being shady right off the bat, not wanting to tell you his fundraising numbers, why do you think he's going to stop now? In this case, this is not Medicare for all. This is not the same thing as Medicare for all. And they're calling it Medicare for whatever they were calling it because, again, they're trying to confuse the issue and get some people to believe that this is similar or the same thing. It is not. Shady Beto.
That ensures that if you have employer-based insurance and you like it, you keep it. Your doctors, your network, what works for you right now. If you don't have insurance or you don't like the insurance you already have, you enroll in Medicare. Costs a lot of money. It will be measured in the trillions of dollars. It is not inexpensive. As I made the point, and I hope the case earlier, it's a lot less expensive than taking care of people at end of life who've never been treated in the first place. When it comes to public school education, paying teachers a living wage and starting public education not in kindergarten at 5 years old, but in pre-K at 4 years old, universally for every single child in this country. I would answered the question about the Green New Deal. When I talk about rural America, I talk about an opioid crisis which is disproportionately felt in rural America. I talk about those whom we must hold accountable for the crisis and the way in which we must treat those who are enduring the crisis, not through incarceration, but through compassion. And the way in which we must treat those who are enduring the crisis, not through incarceration, but through compassion and treatment and care so that they can get back up on their feet. So in every single policy area, I'm trying to describe not just the goal and the aspiration, but the path that we will take to get there. I understand if we disagree or come to different conclusions. That's the genius of our democracy. I appreciate you being here and asking.
He's like flopping all over the stage. It's so distracting. Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. I hope I'm not being nitpicky. I'm looking at him. He's staring off into space, and he's not looking the woman in the eye as he's answering a question, you know. And then he's like flopping all over the place. You know, it's like it's like, dude, stop. Just understand if we disagree. Can you sit the fuck still when you're answering the woman's questions? Look, the Medicare thing, that bugs me because I hate it. I hate them lying to people or trying to confuse people, confuse the issue. It's not Medicare. It's not Medicare for all. If it's going to be something else, then you're going to come up with some kind of alternative plan, the centrist way of dealing with the healthcare issues. Call it something else, because it is something else. Why are you confusing the issue? And it makes me somewhat skeptical of it with the fact that you would go about confusing the issue. Not to mention whether you even would believe it up to that point. Meaning, you can say whatever you want. Whether you would push for it, really, earnestly push for it, is a secondary thing. I support this. Not saying I'm going to do anything about it, but I do, in this kind of roundabout way, support it. Look, you have to believe that what Beto is saying, Beto actually believes. You have to believe that this person, let me say it this way. There are going to be several people who come to the forefront of the stage. Why is Beto here? Beto is here because Beto can raise a lot of money. That's it. He's decent looking. He makes Democrats feel calm, just like Obama. And he gives them hopeful messages, as if there's a magical door. That's the only reason. If we're talking about policy, if we're talking about whether or not the individual believes it when they get up in the morning, meaning when they get up in the morning and they go to bed at night, they believe it. They're a true believer in what they're pushing for. You have to earnestly believe that Beto believes those things. And you have to earnestly believe that he's going to push for those things. And the fact of the matter is, I do not. Krillin 876, but JT, can Bernie Oli up the curb? What? But JT, can Bernie Ollie up the curb? Ollie up the curb. What does that mean? Ollie up the curb. I don't know what Ollie up the curb means. I don't know what Ollie up the curb means. I would say this though, and I'll end it on this. The other proposals just comes across as if default. You ask me what I believe and what I'm pushing for. I'm pushing for pretty much the exact same thing that all of the other Democratic candidates are pushing for. Meaning, if any particular Democratic get in office, all of them, for the most part, are going to push for legalization of marijuana. Do I give you bonus points for that? No. The thing I give you bonus points for are things that go against your donors. Because things that go against your donors, meaning the people who are giving for various industries, bundlers in this case, Beto, the people who are giving them cash. Look, Beto started off on a bad foot for me because I don't like this idea of people not being earnest about certain things. In this case, the thing that he's being squirrely about were who's giving him cash. And in this case, it's like, why are you hiding certain people? Why are you hiding the fact that you're working with Obama bundlers? She put him on the spot in asking that question because that wasn't something that the media asked, nor was it something that many of the people were bringing up. Sanders didn't have bundlers giving him the money. Sanders just had people organically giving him the cash. Whether or not Beto has staying power, who knows? I would say this, Sanders doubled Beto's donors. So the cash in and of itself is not the end all be all. Support is. Jamal, who are your bundlers in secret Patreon cult? I have bundlers? I wish I did have bundlers. That'd be fucking awesome. Alright, I'm going to end this here. I have one or two more that I want to do after this. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. I'll see you 10-15 minutes.